Kisasa.
Welcome to Kisasa English version, and Kisasa is brought to you courtesy of Silver Eye Media, and today we are going to discuss about how to curb campus or university election injustices. Joined with me here is Oliver Barasa J. Wamayeye. And Oliver Barasa, yes, karibu sana studioni.
Nashukuru sana.
Thank you for coming. Oliver Barasa J. Wamayeye is a media expert. He's also a politician by nature. I can say, I don't know, you're a politician by talent or you are a politician by nature.
I'm just passionate in leadership.
He's passionate in leadership, just the way he has talked about it. And Oliver Barasa was once, at some point, the Secretary General for Rongo University, and on top of it also, he has also vied for an MCA position, right?
Yes,
back in Trans Nzoia County. And today we are gonna discuss with him about how to finish, or rather curb, the campus or university elections injustices. What do you have to say about this, Bwana Oliver?
First and foremost, Brother Onesimus, I think I must start by appreciating the fact that you welcomed me to Siasa Kisasa show today. And secondly, of course, I also to appreciate this conversation that we're having today, because this is a discourse that I believe that we should be having on different platforms, because as we speak, campus politics in this country and in so many campuses have been turned into elections just like any other election, yes, in Africa or in Kenya rather.
Yeah, true.
And campus politics in Kenya is characterized by several things. One of them is tribalism, just like the national politics. Another one is electoral bribery, which always happen. Another one is, of course, biasness. And when I talk about biasness, we've got always biasness against those ones who are looked at being headliners. Possibly, one of the things that I must also mention in the campus politics of this country and what they are going through is the new system that was brought in, and what we call the electoral system that is in, we call it the delegate system that was brought in through the National Assembly. And I want just to believe that as a country, we believe in one man, one vote.
Yes.
But according to the bill that was taken to the parliament and passed, what is practiced today in campus is not democratic enough.
But remember, Oliver, that bill which was taken to Parliament for discussion, I believe it was after the massive killings of students witnessed right from the University of Nairobi, by Pwani University, and many other universities in Kenya. You find that in any election of these universities or campuses, at least a good number of students were killed, massively killed. And this led to this bill being brought to Parliament, and it was passed. And what the allegation is that if the one man, one vote is taken away, or is taken away from the students, at least the delegates who are going to be elected are the ones who will elect the leaders. Therefore, these injustices, or other massive killings, will be reduced.
I must agree with you that campus politics have always been marred by violence, and of course so many students have been killed in this country because of campus politics. But we should ask ourselves a few questions. Why the violence, or why the killings? And a system only cannot be said to be the one that is leading into that, because if a system is free and fair and credible enough, you realize that results will always also be credible and they'll be acceptable. But as I mentioned, that there are several factors that always lead to violence, and some campus elections have been marred by rigging. For example, if elections have been rigged, you not expect that possibly students will just keep quiet. But if I can take you a little bit behind and possibly bring out the reason why the majority leader, Aden Duale, took that bill to Parliament.
Yes.
The reasoning behind it, and if you reason with them today, they tell you that they wanted to bar the today MP of Embakasi East, Paul Ngili alias Babu Wino, that he had vied for the UN seat for a very long time, and therefore it was like it's his. And now it was like it's one person who is making this. Though, truth be said, it's very true that the electoral system that is in place has helped in one way or the other to reduce that pressure at the executive seats. But the point that I was trying to bring out very clearly is that it's against the democratic right that is enshrined in the Kenyan Constitution. And I don't know whether it is true or it's right for us to practice a system in campus that is not practiced outside there, because we really believe that the very leaders who've been there in this campus are the very leaders who are going to be out there. So if you've been elected by a different system, then when you go out there, you go now to the one man, one vote system. And we've always said that what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. What's good for the country should also be good for the campus, and what is good for the campus should be also be good for the country.
So according to you, you say that this delegate system of voting should be done away with, or what?
According to me, and I don't want to say that it should be done away because in one way or the other it has helped. But if we believe that this is the system that will remove violence from the Kenyan campuses, then so be it, the national politics, because the national politics in this country also has been marred by violence. And for that reason, and as I said, what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. Let us also implement the same nationally, so that if what is being applied in our high institution of learning is also being applied, and if we cannot, then we should revive it. Then we just ensure that we carry out a fair and driven by viable election, even in our campuses. I believe that we run away from that. But Brother Onesma, something that I must also possibly bring into a picture, and I mentioned several factors, and I think we should go back to bribery.
Yes.
Bribery is another factor. And there is no factor that is always a standalone factor here. These factors are always working together. And you realize that just like the national politics in Kenya, the campus politics also have got massive bribery of voters.
In terms of what? Massive bribery? Because we have never experienced any allegation of bribery in campus or university elections. What we just hear, it is just violence, rapid violence after immediately or just after the elections.
You see, bribery is corruption, and it's against the Kenyan. You cannot expect somebody to give bribes in daylight. But behind the scenes, behind when you are carrying out meetings and when you are carrying out campaigns, you will always realize that either some gifts have exchanged hands or some money has exchanged hands. And truth be said, you will have personally as an individual have taken part in campus politics.
Exactly.
And like, for example, when we are talking about the delegate system, like you've got 30 delegates who are to elect the executive, you realize that these 30 people can be taken and be locked somewhere, and of course be given something as we are used to calling it in our country or in our daily activities, chai kidogo, then they go and vote. And this is something that, of course, so many people will not possibly want to call it by its name, but truly be said.
Okay, so Bwana Wamayeye, you are one man who has tested. I believe you have tested the two kinds of voting, and both a one man, one vote system as well as the delegate system. And it is true that you won in one of the elections, and also in the second elections you did not make it. But is it because the delegate system is the one which led to it, or?
Not really. I cannot say that it is the reasoning, but as I was telling you, is that there is no factor here that is a standalone factor. Okay. And I can tell you that if I give you for my case, and it's a case that of course will always apply across, yes, that just like the national politics are affected by tribalism, so is the campus politics in this country. People will want to vote somebody because of their second name. Where do you come from? And I think this is something that we need to run away from. For example, if delegates possibly have been elected, a good number has been elected from a certain community, you realize that those guys will go back to a certain cocoon and be like, you see what, we come from the same region and therefore, we should be doing this. And of course, bribery will also come in. And of course, you realize that at the end of the day, there is a little bit of some biasness and the fairness is not there. And that's, by the end of the day, we say that is an injustice that has been committed, Mr. Brother Onesimus.
So apart from corruption, you talked about corruption such like bribery, and also you've talked about tribalism. Is there any other thing that might be the cause of these injustices?
Truth be said, and I think I'll speak this one from this perspective. And I would like to take it even from those years when we were still going the popular way, the popular vote.
Yes.
Before the delegate system came in, we were going the popular way, and something that seriously caused chaos during the popular vote is that you could realize that a lot of campuses or a lot of the university management or the university management always had their own preferred candidates, and they were always hard on those ones who were looked at being radical or hardliners. And for this reason, you could realize that somebody who could be rigged out of an election just because he's a hardliner, possibly suspended, or just possibly rigged out of an incident. I think this is one of the reasons that still caused chaos. And even up to today, you hear such cases, they still happen. That somebody has been suspended from a certain campus, and I think just last year, the chair of the student organization of Pwani University, yes, called Fikirini Jacobs, the guy is, as we speak today, is expelled from campus. Yes. And I think it's even a record because he was suspended in Masai Mara University. He has now gone to Pwani University and he has been suspended. Some people might say that this guy is indeed a radical. But truly be said is that so many campus administration, they have got a behavior of, if somebody is a hardliner or a radical, they will always want to do away with such a person because they always know that it will be hard on them.
Okay, so according to you now, you have talked about this kind of all injustices experienced in university or other campus elections. So what do you think might be the root cause, or what do you think should be done to ensure that there is no injustice according to you?
Thank you very much for that question, Brother Onesimus. And I must be very clear on this, that our youths who are in campuses, first and foremost, they look up at some politicians at the national level. And you will hear guys saying that this is my hero, this is whom I support. And some of the people they support are the people who are having the same behaviors that are being practiced in campus. So I wish that the leadership of the country as a whole and the leaders above there did the right thing so that even the youths or those youths that are in campus, the students in campus will also learn the right things from them, because as they bribe up there, so bribery is taking, as tribalism is being practiced out there, so down here. But another thing that I think we should really be very careful about is that some of these injustices that are taking place in our campuses are like a time bomb that we are sitting on. It is said, and I think we've all added that if it walks like a duck, runs like a duck, and looks like a duck, then indeed is a duck. That if it walks like a duck, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and runs like a duck, then indeed is a duck. What we are seeing in our campuses is something that will come to affect this country, because we are sowing tribalism, we are sowing bribery and corruption, we are sowing biasness. That one means that in tomorrow's society, the leaders that are going to be elected are not going to be elected on the basis of competency, transparency, and what they can do, but rather where somebody comes from and the deeper the pocket of an individual. And you asked me that how do we think that we should really solve this? It's not as simple as possible we could say it. But I believe we've been talking about the education system in the country. And of course, we've also been talking about how as a country possibly we've lost the course. And even in the BBI report, if you looked at it, there is one point that really impresses me, and that is a point that says that as a country we do not have national values. As a country, I think we need to have values so that the core values that we are standing for as a country, each and every citizen will be having those values, and I think corruption will not be one of the values that we'll be standing for, as well as bribery and tribalism will not be one of the values. So that if we've got some morals and values that we are standing for, at the end of the day, I believe that at least they will help us in one way or the other. But also I think each and every student in campus, we believe that they're intellectuals. Intellectuals to which extent that the people who've gone through the education system to the extent that in one or the other they can make the right choices, and therefore they should not be people who are hoodwinked by just possibly some coins. There are some few coins to make them vote for somebody, but let it be as per what somebody can do. The competency is very important.
Okay, you have talked about competency. Ladies and gentlemen, Oliver Barasa J. Wamayeye is indeed one of the competent leaders that Rongo University has ever had. And this is not from me, Bwana Oliver, or you who is watching this show. This is from a message from somebody back there. Anasema kwamba anatoka Kisumu Pacho au Kisumu Dala. Ndani he's saying about Oliver Barasa J. Wamayeye was one of the best leaders. He says, mgote sana Oliver Barasa, mwambie nimemiss sana na uongozi wake ulikuwa uongozi wa busara sana. Na kuna mwingine hapa, somebody else here also is saying, ask Wamayeye why did he cheza chini like that. You need to ask Wamayeye why did he cheza chini like that, and I believe this is a question that Oliver is going to answer right after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, we are taking a cup of cold water, and we will be right back after the break. Stay tuned.
Siasa Kisasa.
Welcome back, and I believe, Oliver, you are ready to answer the question that was asked previously. And ladies and gentlemen, we are done with the first part, and this one we now want to know a little bit, a gist of Oliver Barasa's political life. Oliver Barasa, you are a politician, and indeed you are still a politician. How did you start vying as a politician, as an MCA back in Uasin Gishu County, just in
Trans Nzoia
County, I mean?
It's in Trans Nzoia County. You see, as a youth, as a young man, I started by saying that I'm somebody who is seriously passionate in leadership, and I'm among the youths who really believe that the people who always go to vote for individuals, they vote with a reason, and for that sake, they really need to get the services back. And for that reason, I'm old enough to have witnessed several elections in this country. The 2002 elections, I think I was a little bit young, but I of course remember the NAC regime, and the 2007 that was marred by violence. The 2013 election I also witnessed, and the 2017 election I was able to take part in it very seriously because I was contesting as an MCA back at home.
And did you have the finance? Who funded the... We all know that Kenyan politics or Kenyan elections, you need to have cash. And how do you manage?
And that is a thing, you've asked a very good question, and I think it's one of the mentalities that we really need to break out in this country. To me, one of the reasons why even we've got the wrong leadership in this country is just because we really believe that anyone who should be vying for a certain position should be having money. So that at the end of the day, if I bribe the people, once I land on that seat, I start stealing money left, right, and center just to return my own money. But just possibly to answer that question quite clearly is that I was vying not because really I had a very deep pocket, but I was vying because I really believed that with my age, and the few experiences that I have and the values that I believe in, my Kabomboi ward back at home could get the right leadership and the right services. And for that reason, I'm personally, Trans Nzoia County is a place that is serious with farming, and I take part in farming. And of course, I also do agribusiness. And for that reason, at least I could get a little bit of some money that could facilitate me in walking around in my ward.
Thank you, Oliver. I beg to cut you short. Somebody here called Brian Chumba is asking, tell Oliver to tell us, I'm eager to know, did he win the Kabomboi elections or what happened to him? Please answer this question.
Okay. Truth be said is that I didn't win the election because just close to the elections, the elders, we had a consensus. The elders came in, and at that time is just when I joined campus. In fact, I was in first year at that time. I was just a first year in campus. And of course, because of my education and my education course, the elders came in and we had a consensus whereby the current MCA that is there, we had a consensus, and it was to be supported, so that once he wins, the elders wanted me to come and get education first. Then once I go back home, they will ensure that, and I believe that now in 2022, that seat is just there for me to go and pick it.
Yeah, but thank you. I wish you all the best in 2022 elections. And also, as the Secretary General for Rongo University, you are the Secretary General for, I believe, one term, right?
Yes, one academic year.
What do you unajivunia nini as the Secretary General? You say that I did this in Rongo University and I'm proud of it.
Thank you very much for that question, Brad. And of course, each and every leader will always be remembered by the legacy that they left behind. A leader without legacy, I think, should not be called a leader. And if I can just be very brief on some of the things that I achieved as a Secretary General when I was Secretary General in the year 2018, is that for so many years, students have always been divided on tribal lines in campus. And the reason why the problems of the students have never been solved is because they have always lacked unity. And I believe that during my regime, I tried my level best to bring students together. All possibly the 43 plus communities in this country that Rongo University has, we tried to bring them together so that we speak in one voice. But as a Secretary General, I always also took charge of the academic issues in the institution. And the issues of transcript has always been a very serious problem in this institution. And of course, missing marks, but there are issues that we were able to address to the extent that as we speak today, I think it is something that is in the past.
Okay, thank you very much, Oliver. My director is telling me that time is not on our side, and I believe I will welcome this a very big topic, and I will welcome you one other time. We continue from where we have left today. Thank you very much for coming to studio. And ladies and gentlemen, Siasa Kisasa is a hot show. I tell you, it's a hot show, moto sana. And you need to stay tuned every Friday. Every Friday, we'll be having a show, Siasa Kisasa. And we have heard from Oliver Barasa J. Wamayeye about his tenure as the Secretary General for Rongo University, as well as an aspirant back in Trans Nzoia County. We'll be again, see you again next week. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Onesmus Barasa. Siasa Kisasa is the show courtesy of Silver Eye Media. Bye-bye.
Siasa Kisasa.